I want them to love Jamaica. Like that is really...
Me too. I just don't want my daughter daggering or dirty whining, you know what I'm saying? So they don't gotta learn everything.
We have one child together. His name is Evian Simmons, and he's a little over 2 years old now. He's very energetic, very outgoing, loving little boy.
I haven't really spoken to Evian about where we come from.
We haven't really spent time focusing on each specific culture, but he definitely takes more to her side and her culture because he does speak a lot of Spanish.
I know that when he's with my grandmother, she talks to him a lot in Spanish. And recently he started saying Santa Claus, which is Santa Claus. Agua, leche, which is water, milk. And in the mornings, he's usually like, Y papa. Y papa means, where's papa? Like, where's dad?
There's times where she'll have to translate from me. I'm like, what does he want right now? Very important for both of us, for him to be bilingual. Maybe even teach him a third language right now because he's trying to learn everything right now.
We have a 5-year-old son together who is in kindergarten now.
And his name is Kai. As Kai's gotten older, Kai's kind of like the mayor of our building, so everyone knows him. When you ask him, what's his name and who is he will tell you his name is Kai Ying and he's Black and Chinese.
Yeah.
Like, he will not hold back on that. Sometimes it's a little uncomfortable because people aren't ready for that when he tells them that he's Black and Chinese, but he's very proud to be both. And that's something that was really important for us, was to really instill the sense of identity in him, to know that both parts of him are equally as important, that his combination is beautiful, that who he is beautiful, because, you know, kids can be cruel. Right, and kids can be a little bit mean.
We don't currently have kids, but we do have talks about how that'll go in the future. And, you know, I feel like we'll compromise.
I think we have different views on the birthing process. She wants to have an at-home birth. Natural birth. I want to make sure we're in a hospital or around professional doctors in case of emergencies. There's someone there, but she's okay with a doula.
Yeah, I'm okay with like a midwife and a doula, only because my mom had me natural and she had my siblings natural. And my mother is a nurse, and we, you know, just being from our culture, we're big on herbs and, you know, natural remedies. I think when I met Drew, the birthing experience was kind of like yucky to him. It wasn't like a beautiful, I don't know if it still is a yucky thing to you, I'm not sure.
Visually it's yucky, but that's why I would rather be at a hospital where professional doctors, if something, any little thing goes wrong, I feel secure knowing that, you know, there's someone there to step up.
Step up, yeah. That's what my midwife is for. I don't know.
I actually am a transgender man. I'm currently pregnant with our child, and we've had some talks about how we're going to raise our future kid. I know that we will bump heads if we end up having a girl, just because he's so Southern that he feels like girls are like these little fragile, delicate beings, and I know better.
I was raised by my grandmother, and she's very old school. No short shorts, dress skirts to your knees or past your knees. How just by the way that you talk or how your mannerisms, how you eat. I get all of that from my grandmother.
In the South, they're real like old school. They're not very progressive. There's still that like women are these dainty, you know, flowers that need to be, you know, coddled, and they can't do certain things. Whereas up north, you see a lot more progression.
I say we have pretty much a lot of similarities in terms of raising a child. We definitely believe in discipline and just, you know, teaching him now so that we develop that structure now as a child so that when he's older, he's not out of control.
When I was younger, I remember my mom would also make us kneel in rice. I haven't really came to thought if I'm gonna do that with Evian when he gets older, but I may.
I grew up in a Caribbean household. My dad was there, but he was not the kind of enforcer of my sister and I growing up. It was all my mom. You came home, you did your homework, and then you did mommy's homework. And there was no questions asked. That was how it was. It was yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You know, some people think it's, you know, militaristic in some ways, but that's the way I grew up, and that's the way I honestly think it should be. However, it's a little bit different for you.
Well, my parents were like, raised me similarly, but like with me and also my sister, my younger sister, we both weren't, not that we were rebels, but we would pave our own road, and we would not always be good listeners, I would say, and we see that in our son.
Oh, he's so not a good listener.
I don't believe in spanking, and that absolutely is a reflection of my childhood, because my mother believed in it adamantly. I used to think that was her like workout regimen, honestly. I think she would just find things. She'd be like, I'm gaining a little weight. Let me find something. So I don't subscribe to that thought process.
So my mother, she wouldn't, I wouldn't say she would beat us, but whip us or whatever, however you want to say it. And her voice is so strong that kind of scared us and whipped us in the shade.
I feel as though, and this is going to be horrible to say, as the person that has to do all of the work in creating this being, what I say goes.
That's how you feel? That's exactly how I feel. Whatever he says goes.
I think we have similar views, but just the way I was raised was totally different as to how he was raised. Tyler was raised with his family being established and them being white. There was a lot of things like extracurricular activities, and he was a Boy Scout and a Sea Scout and just a bunch of white people stuff, which is good because I'm all for it. However, my parents didn't have the luxury of like attending our extracurricular activities because they were busy working. They were trying to buy a house for the first time in this country. So the way we were raised is totally different, and sometimes like with his son, at first I was very like, why is he doing that? Why is he acting like this? Why this, why that? Because I come from a family with a lot of kids, and the kids just got their butt whooped and they listened, but white people don't really punish their kids the way we do, and it was different, and it took some adapting for me at first. But I think our values are the same, and I think that'll translate into when we have our kids. We'll compromise on certain things.
How do you think you will discipline your future children?
Is that okay to say on air? Just kidding.
So even though like I grew up in a household where you got the belt and that was just the way it was, I don't think that's something that is gonna be necessary for my future kids. I don't really like violence, so I don't think giving my kid an ass whooping like my parents would do to me and my siblings is the solution. Tyler can be very like hard on his son, and sometimes I have to soften him up. We just balance each other out, I think, in all aspects.
Yeah. Honestly, I think words work better than, laying hands. But sometimes you just gotta smack him upside the head. What are you doing? Fix that. Don't do that.
If we're in the right position, we could get a nanny to watch the kids, and she's against that.
Definitely not. When it comes to kids, my mom could watch my kids, and that's probably the only person, maybe your mom too. Moms are the only people that I would really trust, unless it was like my sister or my sister's friend, something like that. But like, no, he doesn't mind a 24/7 nanny. He doesn't mind somebody. I'm completely against it. I feel like we should raise our kids.
No, we will, but there's times where I feel like if we're both working or there's,
Then I will
we
call
need
my
someone,
mom.
we need help.
Then I call my mom.
You can call mom, but I feel like if you have a nanny on deck, it's easier.
If we had a nanny, my mother would be offended.
Kevin went to public school, so he's team public school, I'm team private school, and that's a point of contention between the two of us. But I really would love him to have the opportunity to go to an Ivy League school. I went to Yale for undergrad. He doesn't have to go to Yale, he could go to Harvard if he wants to. But I just want him to have that option as, a little black boy in this world or Blasian boy in this world. I think a lot of doors are already gonna be closed for him and not be an option for him. And so education, at least the way I've been taught and the way I grew up, education was the way to open the door. Education was the way to be able to advance yourself, to get to the next level, to be, better and have more opportunities than your parents did. And so for that reason, that's super important for me. I don't know, it just seems to me like the only way to have him have a better life.
Yeah, but following all those steps doesn't ensure success.
It doesn't.
I mean, it gives a
But-
better chance probably,
Yes,
but
a better chance. That's what I want.
When he was first born, I didn't feel comfortable putting him on social media. I didn't feel comfortable like putting pictures of him, of what he looked like. And my family believes in mal de ojo. In English, it's called bad eye. For someone to give you a bad eye, which can be someone wishing bad on you.
It was like voodoo.
Not necessarily voodoo, but you know, people can wish bad on you and things happen, but your old beliefs don't necessarily have to be true today. And I don't think like that anymore.
So I feel like being Caribbean and having a Jamaican background, I really do want them to enjoy the music, enjoy like the dialect. I feel like it's different than a lot of others. And I feel like as a Jamaican, I'm very proud to be. So I definitely want them to spend a lot of time with my mom and understand patois, which is like the Jamaican dialect, and you know, kind of understand the jokes. I feel like sometimes when I share the jokes with Drew, he doesn't necessarily get it or understand it just because it's difficult to understand. Like, and I want them to love Jamaica. Like that is really...
Me too. I just don't want my daughter daggering or dirty whining, you know what I'm saying? So they don't gotta learn everything. Thanks for watching, and comment below other topics you want us to discuss.
And make sure you subscribe to the VH1 YouTube channel.